Hey everyone, it's Christina Poncher. Thank you for watching part one of the interview with Bob Arum. Here's part two. Looking back at Wilder Fury 2 and the spectacle that was, how was that for you being able to have PBC, Fox, ESPN work together now that it's kind of all said and done? How much does that kind of help you guys, ESPN and Fox, Top Rank and PBC, to make more fights like this?
Well, I think it was an example of entities working together with the same goal, putting aside any type of animosity, working as colleagues, and having a thoroughly enjoyable experience in doing the promotion. So obviously, if we hadn't had this coronavirus, we would probably now be talking about additional events that were on the schedule, where would be joint promotions and maybe joint telecasts. Once we resume, we'll do that again. And one reason why I'm confident that that'll happen is because we've been talking about Fury Wilder 3, and it's the same collegial conversation that we had all through the promotion of the second fight.
And do you think that with the success of that and the fact that the doors have been opened with PBC, that perhaps it could lend itself to making a fight that both Terence Crawford and Errol Spence say they want to make and the fans are clamoring for?
If we hadn't had this coronavirus situation and we had continued on doing fights in March and to this day, we would be talking now about a Crawford-Spence fight towards the end of the year. I really believe that would have happened. So I'm optimistic that it'll happen next year once this situation clears itself up and once we're operating as usual again.
Terence Crawford also mentioned still wanting to fight Manny Pacquiao as he has these past couple of years. So,
well, Pacquiao and you know his people have reached out to me about the possibility of a Crawford fight, and we were hopefully thinking about scheduling that fight outside of the United States. We'll have to see, but it's certainly a very interesting fight. And once this clears up, I think we have a way where it can happen.
With Wilder and Fury 3 possibly being pushed back until fans are allowed to be in attendance, does that make you want to go the Joshua route any sooner for Fury?
The fight I'm looking forward to is Fury against Pulev, after Pulev knocks Joshua out. So I'm not counting on Joshua for Fury, because after Pulev gets finished with him, there won't be a Joshua.
You must be Pulev's promoter or something. I don't know.
Some people say that, yeah.
That's good to hear. And another fighter that I know we were excited about was seeing Inoue make his Top Rank debut here in Las Vegas.
Unfortunately, I would say no. They had very relaxed rules, relatively relaxed rules about this pandemic in Japan, and now their number of cases and situations in Japan have really picked up. So Japan now is under a state of emergency. One thing we were considering was having Casimero go over to Japan and do that fight in Japan, which at one point appeared possible, is no longer possible. And Inoue won't be able to come here anytime soon. So unfortunately, it looks like we'd have to put that fight on the back burner. But Casimero has stayed in the United States, in Las Vegas, and perhaps we can talk to his people and do another fight for him, because he's a champion of one of the organizations that Inoue is not a champion of.
Another fight, Carl Frampton and Jamel Herring. Jamel obviously being willing to go to Belfast to fight.
Carl was pushing, before all of this happened, for the fight to be outdoors.
Right.
In Frank Warren, who would be promoting the fight, always wanted to be in the indoor arena in Belfast. So once this clears up and they can do live fights, I would think we would still go to Belfast. They got a really lovely indoor arena that seats about 10,000 people, and that would be fine for this fight.
All right, let's take a couple of questions here that I have in the queue from the fans, okay?
Sure.
Which fighter from the past does Terence Crawford remind you of the most? And how would you rank today's class of welterweights?
The fighter he reminds me the most of is Donald Curry. Curry was such a great welterweight, a good puncher, a lot of skills. A lot of people thought that Curry, during his heyday, was going to eclipse the great Sugar Ray Leonard. Whenever I see Crawford fight, I always think back to Donald Curry.
And how would you rank today's class of welterweights with the greatest welterweights that you've been a part of, either promoting, etc.?
You know, it's very, very hard because the welterweights today have the advantage of better nutrition, better training, more advanced training than the welterweights of Ray and Curry's era. And the one area in boxing where you can make a contrast is in the heavyweight division. Because people, have asked me how I thought Ali, who was the greatest of his time, would compare with Tyson Fury. And I said, that's an unfair question to ask because we never saw Muhammad Ali with an athlete as good and as agile and as big as Tyson Fury. Because when Ali was fighting, he was considered a big heavyweight when he was barely 6'3". He never fought great athletes 6'6", 6'9". How would he have fared against a guy with that bulk and that size and that athletic ability?
Another question, what are the key steps to becoming a good boxing promoter?
You have to have your head examined first. That's the key step. I don't know what else there is. It's all different kind of promoters. I mean, look how different King was from me, from Hal Heyman, or me from Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren. We're all different. You have to have a flair for it, and you have to have a thick hide.
What is your favorite fight that you've made in your career?
And obviously, Hagler Hearns, which would be on top of my list. The Ali Fraser fights, which were all terrific. A Corrales-Castillo fight, the first one, was absolutely magnificent. The Morales-Barrera fights, every one of them was a classic. Tremendous competition where the tide swung from one fighter to the other. Those are some of my favorites.
Another question here is, will Jerwin Onkaha's 9th title defense be prioritized as soon as boxing resumes?
We'd love to use him right away, but he's in the Philippines. And it is a big question as to when we'll be able to get him cleared to come from the Philippines into the United States. We have to be hesitant when we talk about foreign fighters coming here. Let's say 10 people offered us $2 million apiece and they would sit in the arena separated and so forth to see Tyson Fury fight Deontay Wilder in October. We couldn't do it if there was still a travel ban in place because Fury is in the home in the United Kingdom. It's not as simple as whether we would want to use Nkajas right away, we'd want to use Inoue right away. Of course we would, but we're not able to.
Bob, is there a fight that you're most excited about promoting going forward?
We were looking forward to a Ramirez-Josh Taylor fight. They each had interim fights. We were looking forward to Burchelt and Valdez. That was going to be a classic. Loma and Lopez, really looking forward to that. We don't know what the situation is there. We're going to have to be very innovative, and we can't get necessarily the exact fights that we want while we're doing this in this uncertain period.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it whenever it kicks off, but I appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay well.
You too. Thanks to Alex for setting it up.
Absolutely. All right, Bob. My best to Lovey. Bye.
Okay, good. Goodbye.